Welcome to today's masterclass, From Overthinking to Confident Decisions. I am your host, Tash Lim. I am a certified human design reader, author of From Human Doing to Human Being and When Life Gives You Lessons, podcast host and guest speaker, recovered overthinker, and an eldest daughter. In today's masterclass, you'll learn why you overthink before making a decision, why you second guess decisions you've already made, what can you do about it, and hint, it's not thinking more, what your decision-making superpower is, and you'll walk away with a new decision-making framework that will help you ditch overthinking once and for all. Making decisions gets easier when you learn to trust yourself. You stop trying to talk yourself in and out of decisions. You can stand by what you've decided on, and you embrace the fact that there's no such thing as a perfect choice. You've likely heard, just stop overthinking. And it's as if you haven't already thought of that. And I get it. Overthinking sucks. I know this, you know this, but it's not something that you can just stop doing, because if you could, you would have done so many years ago. Overthinkers don't do it because they love it. They do it because that's what they've been taught to do. My hot take on this is, growing up, you likely learned that making decisions based on feelings were rash and impulsive. So you did the exact opposite. You learned to think through every decision, to consider every possible outcome you could, to select the right decision that would cause the least tension and make the most sense to everyone else. You were renowned for making the logical, responsible decision time and time again. Others praised you for your ability to not only make decisions, but to make the sensible one. And that's what you became known for. As an adult, you overthink decisions because there's an inner conflict. There's a pull between making the right, aka the logical decision, and the one that you actually want to make, where you can exercise your free will and do what feels right for you. Because let's face it, you're the one that has to live with the consequences of the decisions that you make. And if you find that you have to talk yourself in or out of decisions, chances are you're making it for someone else rather than yourself. You overthink because you want to go with the safest option, the one that keeps everyone else as happy as possible, even at your own expense. And over time, this way of making decisions really weighs you down, because you're spending so much time and energy and putting in all of this invisible effort into making a decision that others can't see. And they think, oh, making decisions is so easy for you. And this isn't to say that you can't make decisions, because you know that you can. It's just the amount of time that it takes you to come to a conclusion. That's what we want to look at today, is the reason behind that. And if you're someone that overthinks before making a decision, then you may find that you feel overwhelmed at all of the possible options, that you may feel pressure to consider all of the possible outcomes. And by that I mean playing out in your head, okay, if I choose option A, this is what others will think. If I go with B, this is what others will think. And you keep going and going. You feel like you need to make the right decision every time, and you have to consider everyone else in that process. You may talk yourself in or out of decisions and ignore your feelings to do what makes sense. It's about making the decision that feels right and is also explainable and justifiable to other people. So with making the logical decision, it goes further than trying to make like the perfect one or the one that looks good to everyone else. It's about being able to show the working out and going, okay, I explored all of these different options and considered all of these variables based on that research that I've done and overthinking. This is the best possible option I can make given the circumstances. And when we spend so much time in our mind overthinking, overanalyzing, comparing and weighing up different options before we make a decision, it ends up resulting in decision fatigue, where we just feel exhausted at the end of the day because we've asked too much of our minds. We've made too many decisions and it just feels exhausting. You may find that trying to make even a small decision such as what to have for dinner ends up taking you much longer than what you thought it would, because you're just so exhausted from having to constantly think and weigh up all the different options. You may feel like you've made an informed decision once you've gone through that process. And if that's the case, lovingly, I just want to ask you, why then do you not feel confident or certain in the decision that you've made? This brings us into if you're someone that overthinks after you've made a decision, and maybe you're someone that can make decisions fast. And I mean like that. You don't even have to worry about it. It feels like a no-brainer. You feel good about it, and then afterwards you start to second guess yourself. Maybe worry sets in. You think, did I make the right decision? Regret creeps in. Why did I make that decision? Fear sets in. Did I rush that decision? Your mind starts to create stories, and people will think you're irresponsible, irrational, or selfish for making that decision. That split second of certainty that you had and feeling good quickly fades away. In its place comes a wave of other feelings and thoughts to sift through. And again, this ties back to that desire to feel safe in your decisions and that you've made the right and responsible choice. When you're overthinking before or after, or maybe it's both for you, it's about wanting to feel solid in the decision that you've made. And it's based on how other people will perceive the decision that you've made. And you want it to be well received. That's where they may seem like different things, but in reality, at their core, it comes from that same desire. What can we do about this? We can look at a new perspective, and whether you overthink before, after, or both, one thing is certain, and that is it is exhausting. You don't need to think more. You just need a different approach. That approach that allows you to consider your own thoughts and feelings, feel certain once you've made a decision. That's where the new framework comes in. Each of us has a unique decision-making superpower, and when we can start to tap into it, it makes our lives easier. In this case, it helps us to stop overthinking things and back ourselves in the decisions that we make. This superpower shows us how we are designed, not conditioned or taught to make decisions. In human design, this is known as your authority. When you use your authority to make decisions, it takes you off autopilot. It helps you say yes or no based on what you want, not what you think you should do. And also stops you from wanting to make the logical decision, because that is something that is taught, something that's learned, and not necessarily your natural way of making decisions, which is why you can feel so frustrated, overwhelmed, and uncertain, because the framework that you're using doesn't work for you. The decision-making superpowers are trusting your gut, trusting your instincts, following your heart, being able to talk it out with yourself, talking it over with others, emotional. So that's making decisions from a place of emotional neutrality as much as possible, rather than from a high or low emotional space. And waiting a lunar cycle, so 28 days to go through all of the emotions. Notice how none of these superpowers are make the logical decision or follow your head or put everyone else's needs ahead of your own. That is the difference between how we're designed to make decisions versus how we've been taught to. And that's why there's that internal conflict, because you're trying to bypass your natural way of making decisions and use logic, which is why it feels so relentless and never ending, because you're not meant to make decisions that way. And of course, it's hard to feel very settled when you're constantly making the logical decision, talking yourself in and out of things and having to justify it to other people. It's exhausting. The whole process is exhausting. So how can we apply this new framework when you're trying to make a decision, big or small? The first thing I recommend is pausing. And this is crucial because it gives you a chance to respond intentionally and think about something rather than by default. So if you're someone that can make a snap decision, this is incredibly important for you, because if you can pause, then it gives you that space to check in with your decision-making superpower and go, okay, how do I actually feel about this? And what option do I want to choose? The next step is to tap into your decision-making superpower, aka your authority. Pay attention to how your body feels. Are you feeling calm or tense? How does the decision make you feel? Are you leaning towards saying yes to it, no, or somewhere in between, depending on what the decision is? What does your authority say? And there are times where it may feel like a whisper. Maybe it's a pull towards a yes or a no, or a physical response. For instance, when my husband and I were planning our wedding, we visited different venues to see where we might want to host our reception. And we walked into some stunning wineries, and we looked at the venue and we thought, this is really nice, but there was something that we couldn't name, and we thought, this just isn't for us. And so we kept looking rather than compromising. And when we found our ceremony venue, as soon as we opened the door and walked through the hallway, we both looked at each other and we went, this is our venue. We just knew. It made the decision so easy to make because we didn't have to sell it to one another. We didn't have to justify it. We just knew. Another decision that we made during our wedding planning was about a photographer. And we went to visit him and we thought, yeah, he seems like good enough. And we talked ourselves into the decision and kind of convinced ourselves that, yeah, like he'll be the one that we want. This was during COVID-19, and that's when all of the lockdowns and uncertainty started. He just ghosted us. So we lost probably $1,500 between the deposit for our engagement photos and wedding. Every other decision that we had made was trusting our gut without overthinking it or having to convince ourselves that we were making the right decision. And in the end, we ended up with an incredible photographer who captured our day so beautifully. It just goes to show that when you try and make the logical decision, talk yourself in and out of things and convince yourself one way or another, it's not necessarily making the right decision for you. It may look good to other people, but for you, there's something that feels off, even if you can't describe it in words. And it's being okay with learning to make that decision and know that you don't have to show your working out to everyone else for it to make sense to you. If we go into step 3, it's just honoring your decision-making superpower. So rather than trying to convince yourself to override it, just honor it. And this allows you to rebuild self-trust and start to feel a little bit more confident and certain in your decisions. Yes, others may be shocked and go, oh, you're not making a responsible decision, but everyone's definition of responsible is subjective. And if you're doing what feels right for you, even if you can't put it into words, then that's enough. This way of making decisions will likely feel super uncomfortable at first. And I just want to encourage you to give yourself time to practice it, especially if you are a high achiever and an eldest daughter or column A, column B. It can be really challenging to release that feeling of control. And even though overthinking is something that you don't enjoy, it's still something that you know. So you've gotten used to that discomfort and the exhaustion that comes from making decisions, because the way that you're perceived by others is still as being the responsible, organized, strong one. Whereas if you start to make decisions in a different way, then you may be perceived differently by others. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. It just shows that you're growing and evolving. And if they want to hold you to a standard of an outdated version of yourself, that's not for you to live up to. You're allowed to grow and evolve. They can accept it or not, but that's their decision and that's outside of your control. You might even find that it starts to feel too good to be true when you start to make decisions and aren't experiencing decision fatigue. This is something that I experienced when I started trusting my gut more and more and paying attention to it. I thought, oh, is this literally how easy it is to make a decision? I also found that I stopped second guessing myself too, because I went, no, in that moment, with all of the information that I had, I made the decision that felt right for me. I trusted my gut, my decision-making superpower, and that's enough for me. It's really just a great way of coming back to yourself and putting yourself in the center of making decisions. If you are ready for more, then this is just the iceberg of what you'll learn inside my 8-week signature program, Unbecoming Her. This program is designed for high achieving eldest daughters who are done being everything to everyone else and are ready to figure out who they are before the world told them who they should be. And that's the strong one, the responsible one, the problem solver, the peacekeeper, the organized one. During the 8-week group program, you will know exactly what you want from life, be able to make quick and clear decisions without second guessing yourself, wave goodbye to overthinking, Feel comfortable saying no to others without explaining or justifying it. Know what a hell yes feels like so you can say yes to the things that you truly want to do. Feel calmer and more in control of your time and energy. Know how to create and set boundaries that support you, and start rebuilding self-trust and a deeper connection to yourself. I do have other ways that I can offer support and help. And I have one-on-one readings, which are ideal for action takers. And if you want personalized information and a space to ask questions, if you want help moving through a limiting belief or roadblock in any part of your life, I tailor the reading to what you need right now. I give you an insight into yourself, into the ways that you're designed. And it's really incredible when I'm on calls with clients and I see when they realize, oh yes, like I have seen myself act in this way and I didn't realize that that's how I'm designed to be. When you step off autopilot, you'll be able to connect the dots looking back and go, oh yeah, this makes sense as to why this worked and why this didn't. And you'll notice some patterns, and it's really cool to see that play out during a reading and even after. The takeaways that my clients have had have been absolutely incredible. And I think one of the biggest compliments that sticks with me is I've never felt so seen or understood, and I see through to their soul. I mean, that's such a powerful thing to say, and to be able to support someone and help them see themselves in a different light, I think is just so beautiful. Another way that I offer assistance is with my human design workbook. This is ideal if you're a self-paced learner, maybe aren't too sure about human design, if it's something that you want to explore further. It gives you some really good information that can help you work out who you are. And if you want a general overview and a roadmap and a resource that you can read time and time again. From the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for listening to this. If you have any questions, please reach out to me.